How can I practice speaking regularly if my classes are limited to only once a week? This is a question that one of you asked me in my DMs after my reel that I shared last week. Here's my answer. Hi there, thanks for stopping by. I hope you're having a lovely day. Before I dive into my suggestions, I want to point out that this is an excellent question, not just because this person is asking for suggestions, but because of her comment that she can only practice once a week because she only has English class once a week. You may only have class once a week, but that doesn't mean that you only have the opportunity to practice your speaking once a week. It means you may only have the opportunity to speak in front of your teacher once a week, but you could actually spend some time every single day that week practicing your speaking in preparation for your class. Let me explain what I mean by that. In my last video, I asked you to think about if when you speak or when you write, you are practicing or you are expecting yourself to perform without having practiced first. Perhaps I need to define what I mean by practicing when it comes to speaking. You don't need an audience to practice speaking. You don't need a partner to practice speaking. You can practice speaking all on your own without feedback from anyone else because you're practicing. Here are some suggestions. The first thing you can do, this is super simple, is talk to yourself about your lesson. So if you attend English classes once a week, the following day, in the morning, at lunchtime, after work, after class, if you go to university, talk to yourself about what happened in your English class and what you learned in your English class. This can take 5 minutes. Not only is this good practice for your speaking, but it's also an excellent review of what you did in your class. So to remember the things that you did in your class. Talk out loud. Don't just run over the words in your head. Actually open your mouth, make the sounds with your mouth, talk out loud about what you did in your class. As this doesn't take very long, you could talk to yourself while you're making breakfast, while you're washing up the dishes, while you're having a shower, while you're walking, if you walk to work or walk to school or walk to university, while you are commuting in the car. I do have some students who talk to themselves while they're walking outside. They put in their earphones or they put on their headphones as if they are on the phone to someone, and they talk out loud in English to themselves. But because they're a little worried about what other people might think, they make it look like they are talking to somebody on the phone. If you're lucky enough to have a pet, you can talk to your pet. I do this quite often with my dog in Italian. Especially on Wednesdays, which is the day that I speak to my Italian conversation partner, I try all that day to talk to my dog in Italian, just to get into the swing of things before I speak to my partner in the evening. If you'd like to talk about something other than your English class, you can talk out loud about anything. So if you're working towards an advanced or proficient level in any language, you should be consuming quite a lot of content. You should be reading in that language, you should be listening to that language, you should be watching videos or series or things in that language. So based on the content that you consume, if there's something that particularly piques your interest, or if there's something that's new, or even something that you didn't particularly like, after reading or after listening or after watching, talk out loud about that. You could summarize it. You could give your opinion on it. You could imagine that you're suggesting it to somebody and speak out loud. Now, I can already predict what your reaction might be to the advice that I've just given. That's all well and good, but how do I know if what I'm saying is correct? How do I know if what I'm saying makes sense? How do I know if I'm making any mistakes, if I'm not getting feedback from somebody else? Okay, so this next part, if you've exhausted talking to yourself, if you've talked to yourself enough and you've got to the point that you want some feedback, now's the time to record yourself. Keep watching. There are many different ways that you can record yourself. You can record voice notes on your phone, like a kind of voice journaling, or spoken journaling. You could use an online platform like Zoom or Google Meet. You could open a call as if you were connecting to a call to somebody, but not actually connect with anyone, and hit the record button and record yourself on one of those online meeting platforms. Now, it's up to you what you do with that recording. For some people, it's enough to just know that the recording is there, and having the recording gives them a little bit of accountability, and weeks down the line, they may watch it to compare it with a more recent recording and compare progress. It's quite difficult to measure progress when it comes to speaking. So this is a really good idea. If you record yourself regularly and hold on to the recordings, when you're having a little wobble when it comes to your progress or your speaking, you could record yourself and then compare that recording to one that you made a month ago, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago. When it comes to feedback, it's an excellent idea to watch your recording back and to first focus on the things that you've done well. Try to find at least 5 things that you do well in the recording. Do that first. And then try to find one thing that if you were to repeat that recording, you would try to improve. Just one. It happens a lot that people only focus on the things that they've done wrong in their recordings and they don't celebrate the good things. This is why I'm saying to you, first, find 5 things to celebrate in your recording, and then one thing that you could do better next time. Once you've done that, then you could have a go at talking about the same thing again, the same content, and see if you can improve that one thing. My next 2 suggestions are, if speaking on your own really doesn't cut it, nor do the recordings, and this is if you'd really like to speak to someone. So the first suggestion, find an online conversation partner or an in-person conversation partner. I live kind of in the middle of nowhere, out in the sticks, in the countryside. So for me, it's always easier to find things online. But there are often in big cities meetup groups when it comes to languages. So find a meetup group where people speak English, go along to that group and ask people there when you're talking to correct you on a specific thing or to give you feedback on a specific thing. Obviously, you will also do this in return for them. If there aren't any options to meet up with people in person where you live, there are lots of options online. There are lots of different websites for conversation exchanges where you can pair up with somebody who either also wants to practice their English, so you meet online and you both speak English to each other, or they want to practice a language that you also speak that isn't English. It might be your mother tongue, it might be another language that you speak, and so when you meet online, you split the time. Half of the time in English and half of the time in the other language. This is what I do once a week with my Italian conversation partner. We've been meeting now for quite some time, a few years. And we meet for an hour a week and for half an hour we speak in Italian, and for the other half an hour we speak in English. If you'd like any suggestions about these websites, just send me a message and I'll send you the links to the ones that I've used before. My last suggestion is to join groups that aren't only for English learners, that aren't only for people who are learning English. Often when we are learning a language or trying to improve our skills in a language, we think that the only option is to join classes or to join language courses or things that only focus on language. There are so many options out there now of online courses, free and paid, that are in English, but the objective isn't to learn or practice English. The objective is to do something else. It might be an art group. It might be a course about journaling. It might be a course about psychology. Anything that you're interested in. There are so many options online in English. So why not join one of those? One of the big advantages of this is that you will be in a group with other people who have a keen interest in the same thing as you. So you will be able to pick up on language, vocabulary that you can use for that topic, or for that hobby, for that skill, which will be very meaningful for you. It will probably also be very motivating, because it's something that you're interested in. And sometimes it takes the pressure off a little bit from improving your language all the time. The focus is actually on the skill or the topic rather than the language. Those are all of my suggestions. I have a feeling that some people may contact me and say, or kind of poke holes in the suggestions that I've made, that there isn't one suggestion that suits them. And really that's because if you want to speak and have someone correct you and know that that person is a professional and that that person will know you and know your interests and really guide you, then you need a teacher. But as this person has asked for suggestions outside of their English class, these are the things that can complement your English classes. These are the things that you can do outside of your English class to continue practice speaking. I haven't suggested any kind of AI tools, and that's purely because I haven't used any to practice speaking. As far as I'm aware, my students haven't either. They haven't used tools to specifically to practice their speaking. So I'm not comfortable recommending tools that I haven't tried out myself or that my students haven't tried out and recommended and then I've had a look at. There may be tools out there, I just haven't come across them yet. So if you do know of any, let me know and then I can make another video. I can have a look at the tools, I can try them out myself and then I'll make another video for you. Anyway, I hope that's been useful. If you have any questions, any comments, anything that you'd like to let me know, or if you would like any more advice from me, just send me a message. I love hearing from you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.